I've got a couple of questions in relation to the issue of digital platforms and big tech. And it's often said that social media companies and social media platforms are like the new town square. But in truth, they're almost like the new town square with newspapers and TV all wrapped up into one. I'm interested in understanding, well, first of all, whether or not the Digital Platform Services Inquiry crosses over into this, but whether or not the ACCC's concerned regarding, or has concern regarding practices such as deplatforming and shadow banning, which seems to be aimed particularly towards conservative voices on social media.
I mean, our concern with the digital platforms in that area is very much the use of data to influence consumer choices, the use of data for people to get scammed. We haven't really taken an interest in, nor do we institutionally have an interest in what political voices come out of the platforms, if I understood your question correctly.
Well, perhaps not so much what political voices, but perhaps more towards the issue of behaviour of the suppliers. And I know that's something that the Digital Platform Services Inquiry is looking at. But I wondered whether or not that extended to issues of censorship, as, say, we've seen in the US election, with censorship of certain information being buried, and whether or not the ACCC has concerns, given that so much power now rests in very few hands, whether there is that concern, whether there is something that can be done about it, particularly given these companies are offshore.
Yeah, look, the main recommendation we came up with under that heading was that there should be a code to deal with misinformation. I mean, so really our role in this, in our broad-ranging inquiry, was to recognise that this is an issue. You know, how people use the platform, and you know, you're right, in the town square there would have been misinformation and disinformation and all these sort of things going on, but when you've got platforms like this, you're just multiplying it tremendously. So from our point of view, our recommendation was to have a takedown procedure where there is misinformation or disinformation.
One final question, just in relation to the issue of misinformation and how it's characterised. What we're seeing out of the US election is a lot of misinformation being potentially an issue of a matter of opinion rather than being something substantive. I mean, in the circumstances you've described there, how is it that we can ensure that misinformation is not just censorship in itself, and is that something that the code looked at?
We set the bar on that to be where it's not just about opinion, but look, it's a really complex area, as your question suggests.
Yeah.
So where you draw the line, I think, is awfully complicated, and I think is an issue. I genuinely believe it's an issue governments need to grapple with, and they're fine judgments, but not ones for the ACCC, but definitely not ones to be ignored. The issues are too big, but difficult.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.